What's up, y'all? It's Silent. Back with some information. Peace to the ones that are aware and that know who they are. Uh, uh, Today, I'm gonna be speaking a little bit on thoughts, right? Um, in the power of your thoughts, right? They say that you have 1,000 or something thoughts a day, right? A lot of thoughts you may be aware of, and some thoughts you may not be aware of, right? You ever had a thought and you didn't know where it's coming from? Some of that can be from what you watching, right? Like the TV, our eyes can read the light spectrums on the TV, and then it translates the energy from the light spectrums right into the brain, and then that could affect the way you thinking, right? And certain thoughts you get, right? So you have that as well, but then you can have some thoughts that come to your mind that resonates to you, but you still don't know where it's coming from, and it may not sound like a positive thought, right? So we get in um to the understanding of people that talk to themselves. Why do certain people talk to themselves? The reason why certain people talk to themselves is because they know they have an inner voice within them. See, what you have to do is master and learn what the inner voice is. The inner voice is your highest self, the highest voice, the voice of understanding, right? Not your ego. The voice, not the shit that's telling you what you want to hear. It's your highest self, right? The highest voice in you, right? So, you get people that talk to themselves because they know it's an inner voice within them that they can connect with and that they can share information with, right? So that's why they talk to themselves. And some people, like I said, some people know how to talk to them higher selves and connect with them higher selves on a deep level to where they can know a lot of things about themselves from talking to them talking to their higher self, right? And then you got some people that have their higher self trying to talk to them, but they too stuck in their lower self, so they stuck on the physical plane, right? Which will be Earth. So they can't align with what the highest self is trying to tell them because they too stuck in the physical body. They don't believe or understand that they are more than the body. So they just stuck in that what the fuck is going on. You know what I mean? They think it's something weird. Right? Some people may go get therapy, try to get somebody to help them because they're hearing shit in their head. Right? But it's nothing that's bad. It's just your highest self trying to contact you. So, when you get in to thoughts, right? Some people can hear their thoughts, right? You ever heard of somebody saying, uh, 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 just slow down, right? And just see all your thoughts as it is, right? Just slow down and just see how your thoughts is just passing, how they just transpiring right in front of you. You can actually hear your thoughts if you pay attention. Um, about probably 4 years ago, when I had first got on my what you would call spiritual awareness path, I was starting to hear a lot of things in my head, and I couldn't really connect with a lot of the shit I was hearing in my head. But I was just hearing it. I'm like, why am I hearing shit in my head? Then you hear about motherfuckers saying, oh, connected with your higher self. So I'm believing that it's some higher self shit talking to me. But it's really negative thoughts that I've had for myself and that I have for other people. So I was able to listen and hear my own thoughts and what I was feeling. So matter if I got an issue towards somebody, I'm gonna be able to hear what I'm feeling inside for that person. No matter what it is, you think about killing a motherfucker, killing yourself, you gonna hear all that in your mind. So you're hearing your thoughts. But also, I'm also psychic, so I have psychic abilities as well. So that's why I'm able to have that certain shit going on. But still, if you are aware enough to what's coming into your shit, them is your thoughts, your negative thoughts, or say your ego, right? You think you the coldest person on the planet and ain't nobody better than you. You could be able to hear them thoughts in your head, right? Because what can happen is your ego can disguise itself as your higher self, right? So say um say you for yourself, how you feel for yourself. Say you feel you were a a king of Egypt, some shit. Like say you feel like you King Tut, right? What could happen is if you ask your higher self if you King Tut or is that what you is, your higher self could come in and tell you, oh yeah, that's what you is, right? And in hindsight, that probably ain't what you is, but your ego is gonna go off of how you feeling, right? So how you feeling and what you think you is, your ego gonna try to make that as much as a reality as possible, right? But really, it ain't what you is, all right? But your ego is playing off of you and what you feel for yourself, right? So you have to be very aware of your thoughts and the power of your thoughts. The way you think can create reality. It can create action, right? So that's why you get into affirmations. Affirmations is to affirm, right? So you affirming what you want. I am everything and everything is me. That's affirm. I am all and all is me. I am fire. I am water. I am air. I am light, right? That's affirming. You giving confirmation. You telling yourself this is what you are, right? But you can get caught up in that to where you can allow your ego to tell you what you is, right? And that really ain't what you is, right? So you have to know the difference. And you have to be able to have a certain control over your mind, because certain people can't control their minds. They can't control their brain, right? Because it's just too much shit going on, so they just don't know how to control it, right? This is how you get people that have anxiety. The reason why people have anxiety is because they can't control they shit, right? Because like myself, because I'm honest, I'm a big overthinker. I overthink a lot, right? And me overthinking goes back to you listening to a voice in your head that's making you overthink, right? So you have people that develop a psychological uh, 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 um, presence within themselves all off of them overthinking, right? It ain't the shit that they overthinking ain't even happened. It's just what could happen. Why? Because something close may have happened to that, but it hasn't really happened. Right? So you can start to overthink some shit, and then next thing you know, you losing your motherfucking mind. You about to lose breath because you think some shit gonna happen and ain't nothing even happened yet. It's just you making this shit up in your head. Right? And that could lead to a lot of damage and a lot of issues because certain people may commit suicide from that, or certain people may turn to alcohol, or certain people may turn to violence, and you may turn to certain things because you trying to get that motherfucking feeling out of you, right? But you don't know how to do it, right? So you tend to let it run its course, but if it get too bad, uh, you're gonna try to have to figure a way to get rid of it, right? So, um, when you talk about your thoughts and how they work, they all going off of you and what you feel for yourself, right? So this is why you have to be careful. People talk about you got to be careful with negative self-talk. Talk about you can't, that can't happen, that I can't. Saying, oh, I can't do it. It can't. All that's gonna build up your sense of awareness of yourself and how you view yourself. You gonna view yourself as a motherfucker that can't do nothing, right? And soon as you try to find the time to do something, this when you gonna get them thoughts that's gonna come into your head. You ain't gonna do that. And then you gonna overthink. Then you gonna be like, nah, I'm gonna leave that alone. So you have to be very careful of the shit that you think about. You have to be very, 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 very careful. Very careful. Because it could be a dangerous thing if you don't know your thoughts and where certain things are coming from. Right? So you have to be careful. Very, very, very careful. Right? I have learned this because I used to meditate. I still do, but when I was really serious with it, I used to hear a lot of things in my head and I didn't know where it was coming from. But then, like I said, I learned that I had psychic abilities. So it was another reason for me to know why I was hearing things, but you don't have to be a psychic for you to hear thoughts. It could be anybody. Right? You just hearing shit in your head. And you don't know where it's coming from. Right? It's coming from what you feel for yourself. Everything is just running wild in your brain. So whatever you feel for yourself is, it's just all going on in your head. So it's a lot of shit going on in you. Most of the shit you know where it's coming from. Then most of the shit you don't know where the fuck it's coming from. You think you crazy. You think you losing your mind. No, you just gotta change your thoughts. Change the way you feel for yourself and the way you feel for other people. Right? Because you have people that say it's weird to talk to yourself. Right? The reason why they feel it's weird to talk to yourself is because there ain't nobody else in the room. It's just you. Right? But if I'm talking with myself and ain't nobody else in the room, then that means I know it's something in me that can talk back to me, so that's why I'm interacting with it. Right? It would be a problem to talk to yourself and can't nothing talk back. That would make it a problem. But since you know it's something in you that you can communicate with, this is why you making contact with it. Right? Because you got to understand your ancestors is in you too. So you can connect with your ancestors. You can talk to them. They can talk back to you. Right? But they don't have to talk back to you in your mind, they can talk back to you through synchronicities, right? Synchronicities such as numbers, right? Such as it could be a color or something. It could be any type of different way they try to get a message to you, right? But talking to you can be the main way uh, through your thoughts, and you aligning your thoughts with that ancestor. That could be the main way they can connect with you. So it's something in you um, to talk with. It's just you have to find out what that highest voice in you is, and you have to learn how to keep the communication going, and don't lose insight of your higher self, right? Because sometimes we ask ourselves something built out of fear, and then we get some information back and think that's our higher self talking to us. Your higher self can't talk to you out of fear. Your higher self can only talk to you when you at a state of peace, when you peaceful, where don't nothing bother you. That's the only time your higher self can talk to you. But if you in a place of fear and you anxious and you worried about something and you try to talk to your higher self, it ain't gonna come back as the answer. That's why I said you gotta know when your higher self talking to you, then you gotta know when it's your ego. You have to know the difference. Because if you don't know the difference, you'll be just running yourself crazy, right? Because you don't know what the truth is, right? So you gotta be able uh, to also be in a state to where you're not worried about anything and you're in a comfortable state, so that when you talking to your higher self, you getting that real truth or information back, right? So this is why um understanding how mind manipulation works. A lot of people like to manipulate people psychologically, right? But the only way you can manipulate someone psychologically is if someone allows you to manipulate them psychologically, right? Because you have a lot of sensitive people, people you can't tell nothing to. They always go to the defense mechanism. And the defense mechanism is the victim, right? Thinking that everybody has something out against you. But most of the time, certain people may be trying to help you in the way they talk to you, but then you have other people that try to manipulate you, right? So a manipulative person knows how to manipulate people because the people that they manipulate allows them to, right? Because they take everything so serious. If they just sit back and read the energy of the person and read their manipulation skills, they won't be able to manipulate them no more, right? But if they continuously just allow what we call allowing somebody to get your goat, right, get the best of you, right, you gonna always be in a place to where a lot of people will be able to manipulate you, get the best of you, because you don't understand the psychological game. You don't understand that somebody is trying to change your feeling, change the way you thinking, right? So um, it's important um, to be able to stay in a peaceful state, right, and maintain that peaceful state, because it may come a time to where you may have to engage in a negative action. But even in a negative action, that don't mean you have to stay in a negative mindset, right? See, people expect you to stay in a negative mindset, right? Say you had to punch a motherfucker, knock a motherfucker out. The natural thing in this society that we in is for you to stay mad all day, right? The situation has been handled. You already did what you did. There's no reason to be mad no more. There's no reason to keep that anger in you no more because you already did it. But because we live in a society where you gotta be the toughest motherfucker on the planet, you gotta just stay mad all day, right? And then, you gotta have that grudge on you. No, you did what you did. Now you can let it go. You don't have to stay in the mindset where you still mad. See, that's someone that does not understand the mind and understand how to transform a trace of thought, right? So we have something called energy, or not energy, my fault, conscious transferal, right? So you transform one consciousness into another consciousness, right? You transform one state of thought into another state of thought. Remember, the right brain is feminine, the left brain is masculine, right? So you got your neurons send signals onto each other, right? When everything is working on the same accord, they can both align on the same frequency, right? So if one side of the brain is developing the way it needs to develop, it's going to send signals on to the other part of the brain to develop. Now, it may take a little bit of a process for the other part of the brain to develop, just like it took the one part of the brain that developed the time it took, right? But eventually, that other part of the brain is going to find a way to develop, right? So it can understand the other part of the brain so you can align the two together, right? So you understand conscious transferal, transferring consciousness from one state to another state, right? You understand how that works. You may have some people that have been through so much trauma, right, to where they learn how to engage in negative energy, right, but they know how to change it, right, and be happy by the end of the day, right? Most people like that may be spiritual beings. They may be ascending masters, right? So it's all a scientific experiment with them, right? Because some people put themselves in dangerous situations spiritually to test their mind, body, soul, and spirit, to see what they're going to develop into, right? So if you a spirit that is very happy, right, or you have a great heart type, an honest type of spirit, you may put yourself in a situation, in a environment where you may be around people that are not honest, right? You might put yourself around people that are not the way that you are, right? So you may tend to develop their ways of thinking, but then you may come to a realization one day that that's not the way you want to think. That's not the way you want to be as a person, right? So you might transform back over to the person that you was destined to be, which is the honest being, right? But you had to see one side of life from a negative point of view so you could understand how to transform it into a positive. You know what I'm saying? And this is certain things you have to realize out here when you dealing with the brain and you dealing with your thoughts. Sometimes in life, you're going to have the negatives in order to understand the positives, right? Because in life, everything is about learning, You have to learn one place from another, right? In alchemy, we call it as above, so below, right? So as above air and fire, as below earth and water, right? So it's the transformation, like I say, back to the conscious transfer from one state to another. So you understand the physical part of you, and then you understanding the spiritual part of you, and this is all detailed in the mind and your thoughts. So some of us have good thoughts, and some of us have bad thoughts. It's just up to you to align your thoughts to where they can just be peaceful thoughts, and it ain't no negative, right? It's just up to you to do that, because a lot of people can't control their thoughts. They can't control the way they feel. They can't control it, right? Because I had talked about narcissistic people. Everybody be talking about narcissistic people. Oh, they are narcissists. You're a narcissist. All that. Everybody has had a narcissistic point in their life to where they acted in a sense of uh, being unpleasing, right? Everybody didn't have that. The thing about a narcissistic person is they have a lot of trauma that they never really dealt with or went over. So when you go through trauma in your life and you never come to a place to where you try to fix it or go over it and see why you are the way you are, it's going to run its course. Right? So this is why I talked about my last video, the victim mentality. The victim mentality comes from the trauma. Right? Everything aligns together. You never went over any of the shit that went on in your life. You let it run its course, so now you the victim. So now everything that goes wrong in your life is all because of what you went through. Right? And then you may start to develop a mindset to where you may feel like everybody owe you something because of what happened to you. Right? And then you may start to grow a selfish mindset, thinking that only good things are supposed to happen to you and not to everybody else. Oh, that's trauma. Right? Because what it is with the narcissism, the narcissistic people, they may tend to say they love you, right? But then 10 minutes later, they may get thoughts in their mind that come to them that remind them the shit that you did to them, right? So now they may start to hate you again, right? So then you ask them, you cool? Yeah, I'm alright, right? They acting funny with you. Acting like you did something wrong and you didn't do nothing wrong. Well, you did something wrong a couple years ago, right? But they haven't got over it. It's still taking a toll on them, so they don't know how to resolve it, right? So their heart may be leading them to forgive, why? But their mind is telling them, nah, hate that motherfucker till they die. Keep that anger, right? So it's a complication that person is having. I'm telling you some real shit, right? I'm telling you some real shit. But it's a complication that they have within themselves and with their heart and with their mind. They listening to their mind rather than listening to their heart, and that's the problem. And this is how you get narcissistic people that are the way they are, because they listening to their mind rather than their heart. This is just the truth. That's why I don't really get too big on, oh, they not. I don't get too big on that, because it's nothing really. It's not that serious. It's serious, but it's not that serious. Right? Because a narcissistic person and a Karen is two different people. Right? A Karen is a toxic person, right? If you ain't doing something the way that they want you to do it, you broke the rules, you broke the law, right? So they gonna try to make you feel bad because they feel you broke the rules, you broke the law to them, right? But they like that with everybody, right? That's just the type of people they is. They always feel some way when somebody ain't doing something the way they want them to do it, But that's not necessarily a narcissistic person. That's just a toxic motherfucker. They ain't really narcissistic. See, you got to know what a real narcissistic person is before you go calling people narcissistic. See what I'm saying? You have to know what narcissism really looks like, right? In order to know what it is, because a lot of people, like, we get into liars, right? You have a lot of people that lie. Why does people lie? Why do people lie? The reason why people lie is because people are not brave enough to tell what's really on their mind. They're not brave enough to tell what's on their heart. Well, I ain't gonna say on their mind. They ain't brave enough to tell what's on their heart. Right? You get people that be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have a talk with this person, but they don't ever do it. That's because they can't speak from their heart. They feel like if they speaking from their heart, they doing something wrong, but that's what you need to speak from. You need to speak from your heart. Because the heart don't never lie. The heart is you telling your truth. Right? If I love you enough to tell you the truth, then I'm doing something right. But if I lie to you and just lead you astray and deceive you with my lies, then that means I don't love you that much like I say I do. That's just the truth. That's what I mean. I don't really like lying. I don't believe that lying helps anything, because it don't. It doesn't help anything because eventually the truth will come out. Because then when the truth come out, you don't have nothing more to say. Because the person knows the truth. Because it's always going to be a place in your mind to where you be like, man, I should have just kept it 100. But you just couldn't do it because you don't want to speak from your heart. You won't have enough courage. Right? We live in a world where being honest is wrong. Right? They think you wrong because you honest. You supposed to be honest. It was never nothing wrong with being honest in the first place. Society just make it like it's wrong. Right? So that's why they want you to lie. Because being honest is too real. That's too much of a spiritual essence to have when you just telling the truth. When you just being blatantly honest. That's too spiritual. This is why you have to understand religion. What are they doing in religion? They lying to you. Them pastors ain't speaking from the heart, because religion and the Bible and the whole Jesus thing, all that shit is an illusion. There is no Jesus. There really is no Bible, because nothing in that Bible is telling you the truth about what really happened, because none of that shit happened. And some of the shit in the Bible that may be true, they changed the story around. So it still ain't telling you the truth of what really happened. Right? So you get these pastors and they're speaking all this shit. They ain't speaking from the heart. They just reading off of a script. They're not speaking from the heart. Right? So all they doing is trying to run you astray so you could believe, okay, I got the good message for the day. It wasn't no fucking message. He reading off script. He don't feel that way. Right? So They teach lying in these churches. They teach lying. So it's all around you, right? So um you gotta understand um what this comes down to, when you talk about the mind, your thoughts, and listening to your thoughts and not being fooled by certain thoughts that come into your mind, right? You gotta be honest with yourself. You have to express your truth. That's what you have to do. There's no need for you to be pump faking, ducking, anything about yourself. Keep it 100. Because if you keep it 100, it's going to put you in a better place. Because you got a lot of motherfuckers out here that call themselves spiritual, right? But they really just blabbering off about some shit that they don't really even understand, right? Because we live in a world full of perceptions, right? I feel like the world is probably 99% perception, right? Of what they feel is right. Okay, so you gonna have one motherfucker telling you, like vegans, don't eat meat because eating meat is bad for the environment, right? But they fail to realize if you a vegan, you hurting the planet because what do the animals have to eat to produce the protein? They gotta eat plants. So if you eating carrot sticks and carrot sandwiches and shit, you taking more away from the planet, right? And you taking away from the animal to produce the protein to put back in you. So you going off of all this shit saying being a meat eater is bad for the planet, but you hurting the planet even more than the meat eater. You hurting the planet more. It take a longer time for plants to grow, but an animal always gonna be existing, right? But you ain't gonna always have fruits and vegetables growing all through the year because you got winter time. So this is also how you know that when you see fruits and vegetables in the wintertime, you know that shit GMO, genetically modified organisms, because fruits and vegetables can't grow all year round. So this is how you know when you see them bananas and shit on them shelves and all them apples and shit sitting there in that bag, that shit ain't real. That's not organic. See what I'm saying? But you can't tell a vegan that because they too stuck on, oh, you hurting the planet because you eat meat. But they fail to realize they hurting the planet by eating fruits and vegetables, right? But they don't understand that. So you got a lot of people that have their own perceptions of what they feel is right, right? Then you have people, oh, you should fast, right? You should go without eating. It ain't nothing wrong with fasting. I fast on and off myself. But you have to know what you fasting for. Are you fasting to clear your body, right? Cleanse your body, clear your mind? Or are you fasting just because it sounds cool? Or are you fasting to lose weight? Like, what are you doing it for? You have to know what you're doing something for before you do it, right? So you get people that just be blabbering off and come on the internet, oh, do this, do that. It's going to help you. How you know it's going to help them? How you know that? It may be a bad thing for that person to do that. Just because it helped you don't mean it's going to help them. Right? That's the same as saying what you eat don't make me shit. See what I'm saying? What may help you may not help the other person. Right? So, you got all these perceptions of people in this world that think the way they think and believe in the shit they believe in. It doesn't mean that their perception is right. But it does not mean that their perception is wrong. But you got to understand that everybody has the free will to believe in what the fuck they want to believe in. That's why you can't get the whole family to believe that religion isn't real and Jesus isn't real, because everybody has the free will to believe what they want to believe. As long as you know what you know and you know the honest truth, I mean, that's all you need to go with. Because you're not going to get everybody on board. Because, like I just said, to them, it's like you trying to tell them something to believe in and you just want them to follow what you say. Right? They don't want to believe in what you're saying because they probably think you don't know what you're talking about. So they're not going to go off your word. Right? But you can't believe that everybody going to go off of what you say and that your word is always going to be a powerful voice in any situation, because, everybody have their own ways of how they feel on certain things. You have to be aware of that because everybody have their own perception of life. So, this is what it is when you dealing with this type of talk. Um, um, when you pay attention to psychology, um, like I said in my last video, people's environments and where they grew up at is what make them be the way they are psychologically. If you grew up in an environment and around people that were negative and thought the worst of themselves and thought the worst of the world, that's how you may grow up to be because of who you are around. Our brains, our minds, our eyes, everything that's within us, it reads and it takes in, right? It digests it, right? So whatever you're around and whatever you see and whatever you communicate with on a daily basis, you going to digest that. You're going to take that in, right? And you going to start to behave like what you grew up around. Like a lot of us, we talk the way we talk because of how our parents talk. We start hearing them saying motherfucker and saying shit like that, and then we start to say it as we become adults. You know what I'm saying? That's, and that's because we read. We, digest what we are around. You know what I'm saying? So, that's what you have with that. But you have to understand the power of your own mind and how it works. You have to understand your thoughts, right? What you do is, whenever you get a thought that come to your mind and you don't know where it's coming from, you should write it down. Write it down on the piece of paper and then just look at it, right? You look at it and you should challenge your mind, challenge yourself of what you feeling while looking at that. Is that how you feeling right now, or is that just some shit that don't align with you? That's what you do. Just write it down. Right? Because also it's important to pay attention to your dreams. I don't always write down what happens in my dreams, but most of the time I be able to get around to it. Because sometimes I just forget. Whatever you feeling inside, okay, so say your family is not as close as they should be, and you want to try to find a way to fix the issue in your family, you may go to sleep and have a dream about the family. You may have a dream about the family all being together, holding hands, hugging, kissing each other, eating together, right? Taking in the presence of each other. That may be um a note of how you feel inside. That may be a note of your heart. That may be your heart showing you what you want to happen. Right? So this is how you want your family to be. Right? And it may feel like a good dream. It may feel peaceful. It may feel like, man, I don't want this to end. But then as soon as you wake up, you hearing all the negatives. Oh, this didn't happen with him. This didn't happen. They ain't speaking now. Now they into it, right? So you have these dreams, and you start to see certain things and experience certain things in your dreams that's all related to what you thinking and what you feeling. Right? So that's why I said it's your heart showing you how you feel. Right? So your heart showing you how you feel, you may have to take some notes from your dream, like I say, because some people say write down your dreams. You should write them down because that's your heart. So you write it down, and then you can use that as uh, you can say you could use it as a tool to try to fix what's going on in your family, right? Because then, as you try to push forward on trying to resolve the issue in your family, your heart gonna keep showing you different shit. So any thought that you may have that could be a factor in helping your family, your heart gonna show you what to do or show you what you feeling, right? So it's gonna be a sense of you seeing some shit like, okay, that's how it can happen. That's how it can happen. Then as you wake up, that's when you put it into action. This is all how it works, right? So these is the things you have to pay attention to and realize, cause like we talk about, you are not the body. All you are is a soul and a spirit manifested into a physical body. The only reason why you have the body is so you can balance out the energies, right? So we all have DNA. We have cells, right? You have DNA in the brain. You have DNA all throughout the body. You have DNA in your back, which they would call the spinal cord, right? All the way from the top of the brain all the way down the spine, right? Um, what that's called in the spiritual world is the Kundalini energy, right? So this is DNA of feminine and masculine. It transforms to the lower base of the body, which they would call the root chakra, all the way up to the apex, right? The top of the brain, right? So when that energy transforms all the way to the top of the head, that's a result of the DNA in you being activated, right? So the root chakra is located with the physical plane. So you go back into physics, you have something called a solid, a liquid, and a gas. The solid is the proton. So that's the positive electrical atom. Then you have the neutron, which is the liquid, right? That don't got no charge to it. And then you have the electron, which is the gas, right? And the gas, the fire, that's the negative uh, atomic molecule. That's the negative particle, right? It's electrical, but it's negative. So you got a positive and a negative, and then you have the neutron. So this is when you go back into what they talk about the 666, six neutrons, six protons, and six electrons. In the Bible, they told you it was the mark of the beast, but it's really what they would call dark matter energy. Because remember, you turn light into darkness. Darkness absorbs light, while light, while the color white reflects light. Black absorbs light, right? So you understand the solid, liquid, and the gas phase as opposed to understanding your chakras. So you start off with the physical plane, which is the root. So that would be the solid. And then you get into the sacral chakra, which is dealing with the sexual energy. So that would be the liquid. And then you get into the solar plex chakra, which is dealing with the soul. The soul is made of fire. So that would be the electron. So you transforming energies from solid phase, the liquid phase, and then to a gas phase. Once all of those phases align with each other at the same momentum, this is when you transform into higher dimensions, right? Higher spiritual presence and understanding of yourself. This is what happens, right? Um, and once you get to that point, this is when you start to realize that you're not necessarily a body, you're just energy. And this is all you are. All you are is energy. So the whole focus for the system is to keep you believing that you are just a human. That's the whole focus for the system. Keep you believing that you are a human. That's why they give you schools, right? To get an education, so-called education, so you can so-called graduate, go to college and all that shit, then apply for a job, right? That's keeping you in the physical, right? Because your whole job in life is to be at peace with yourself and to live freely. This is a free will universe. Can't nobody tell you what to do. That's going against the laws in the nature of the universe. Can't nobody tell you what to do, right? But we live in a world where they try to tell you what to do and how to do it, and that's not the way we go about our business. When we talking about the universal aspect, that ain't the way we go, right? But the school, the college, then the jobs and all this shit, that's all to keep you in your physical state of mind, thinking you just a human, just here to work your life away, and then that's it. That's what they do. So this is why when you get a motherfucker tell you you are more than what you think you are, I don't believe that. That's the devil, right? You don't believe it. Because you don't believe that you are more than what you think you are. You don't believe in that shit. So you can't really comprehend that certain type of ancient wisdom, right? This is the shit that the ancient Egyptians knew, because we are the Egyptians, right? But ancient Egypt is really America, right? So they knew about this shit. They knew they wasn't a body, right? They knew that they were more than what the body was. They knew that they were more. They knew that. This is why they write it down in a lot of their tablets, emerald tablets, in their journals, their books, right? They was writing it down, right? Because they understood that they were not just a person. They wasn't just a body moving. They were more than that. And that's what make you God, right? What make you God is knowing that you're not just a person moving. But you can't call yourself a God if you're not doing God shit. You still get worried over what life, throws at you. You still getting worried over the bills and shit and the education and the job. That's gonna keep you being a person, being just a human, right? But when you start to be God and you stop caring about what society puts in front of you, that's when you become your godlike self, right? Because you have people that say, "Man, nothing matters," right? We call them hillbillies. Man, nothing matters. All that matters is yourself. All that matters is living in peace and freedom, right? The reason why they talking like that is because they had a self-realization. They was once humans, right? But then when they started to believe that they were more than a human, their life changed. Their perception of everything changed. They started to feel more at peace with themselves, right? They living off the land, right? You get people that think that living off the land isn't possible. We've been living off the land for years, right? But we ain't in tune with Earth, so we don't think we can't live off the land. But there's ways you can do that, right? Because you got something going. When you get some wood, then you start a fire. You already got something going, right? It's just shielding yourself, right? So you ain't just sleeping out in the cold, right? That's the biggest thing. But if you find enough wood and you know what you're doing and you put your mind to work and find out a way, you will be able to find the solution to shield yourself so you won't just be in the cold, right? But you get people that think shit like that is not necessary or it's not true, but that's just what people think. So, um, you see, I went all over the place with this information, but you know, um, understanding, like I said, understanding your thoughts, understanding your mind is important. I'm just here dropping some gems on some shit so you can know what to do with your cranium and learn more about it and how to control your thoughts and the way you feel about shit. Because a lot of people work themselves up to be stressed out. Most of the time, stress comes from overthinking. That's where it comes from most of the time. Because you have to also understand the power of manifestation. The more you feed yourself with negative thoughts and negative feelings, the more negativity is going to be in your head. It's going to be more negativity that's just going to come to your mind because that's the energy that you putting out, right? And that's the energy that you feeding yourself. So it's all a manifestation. It's a self manifestation, right? The more negative you think in life, the more negatively, or the more negative life gonna seem to you, because that's just what you feeding yourself. That's what you telling yourself. So you just gotta realize how to resolve certain things in your mind. You have to change your sense of thinking and the way you feel. This is just what it is, and can't nobody do that for you. You got to do that for yourself. Cause some people's mindsets is shitty. Some people have shitty mindsets. And some people don't want to change their mindsets and the way they think. They don't want to change it because they became too comfortable with that sense of thinking. They too comfortable. So they don't want to change it. But if you want to live your best life and be your best self and become your best self, you're going to have to change some things. That's why you hear people talk about, oh, my New Year's resolution, this is what I'm going to do, right? They say what they going to do for the new year, but they'll never do it, right? Why they'll never do it is because they don't want to challenge their mind, right, to look at the world differently. Because in order to change yourself, you're going to have to look at the world differently. A lot of people may be shy working out around other people. They may be shy jogging around other people because they think somebody looking at them, right? But that's all in your mind. That's just what you think. People gonna look regardless. You have to get out your head and think that someone looking at you to try to find something wrong about you. That's just in your head. You just thinking something wrong, but ain't nothing wrong. You creating that scenario yourself. So it's just what you need to think about. I'm gonna go ahead and get off of here. I said enough on this. Yeah, I'm gonna still probably talk about the Eye of Horus like I was supposed to talk about yesterday, but I got this out today, dropped some gems in this one, so I could go ahead and wait a couple more days to drop some information on the Eye of Horus because I dropped this. So yeah, that being said, this is Silent. Y'all be safe out here. I'm out. Peace.